So as of yesterday, the latest Sea of Thieves adventure has dropped after a slightly longer wait than usual, partially because Season 8 launched on a Tuesday and the delay from Thursday. A new story voyage is something a bit out of place with the Season 8 bloodshed, so for me, it was a somewhat nice change of pace. I can really see this adventure being more like Marmite though, you love it or you hate it. So let's talk about the story implications and if adventures truly are improving. Kicking off with the story roundup. Tasha is decorating the tavern for Christmas and accidentally stumbled upon a chest left behind by Briggsy for her. This included a book for her to follow and a compass. If you remember, when Tasha was a little girl, Briggsy would often tell her stories of her adventures when she visited Ancient Spire Outpost. This was covered in the events of Tall Tale 3, the Legendary Storyteller. Tasha, eager to follow in Briggsy's footsteps, happily flicks through the pages. However, the compass seems to be cursed and afflicts Tasha with the skeleton curse. Being on good terms with Madame Olivia, the head of the Order of Souls, she seeks her help and that's where the adventure starts. Olivia suggests we go and follow the journal just in case Briggsy did find a cure for the skeleton curse before we destroyed her. So we've been given the tasks left for Tasha, all of which were designed to teach her to be a pirate. There are 3 puzzles to complete, but we also have to defeat 3 skeleton captains, the location of which is revealed by the compass. Simply put, we kill the skeleton captains, obtain their clues and keys, then complete the puzzle to obtain the 3 chests. These 3 artifacts are believed to be instrumental in helping us find the cure. Along the way, we learn the truth of Tasha's affliction. It seems that the Dark Brethren had inflicted the curse on Tasha and possibly not the compass. We see confirmation of this in the trailer when the green flash appears too, but this only really makes sense having played the adventure. We get 4 journals from Wanda, 2 from Amaranta and 2 from Duke, and these are all essential to understand where we're going with this arc. In the trailer, this looks to be one of the members using the staff to hop into the tavern and curse Tasha while she's sleeping. We learn from one of the journals that Wanda seeks the cure to use it to recruit more skeleton lords to the cause. She thinks she may be able to use it on the Gold Hoarder, Briggsy, or even the Ashen Lords. More importantly, it would pose an alternative to skeletons who side with Captain Flameheart. The skeletons of the Sea of Thieves side with Flameheart mainly because they're ostracized. They're hunted down by the Order of Souls and not welcome amongst the living. Flameheart embraces the curse and therefore is the only option for the skeletons, even if it means waging war on his behalf. I'd argue that it even ties in with the captain's aims. In Lords of the Sea, he was keen to end the pirate's life, but more so to ensure he could control who has access to eternal life on the seas. This would be no different. He could pick and choose who became a skeleton and cure all those who threatened him. Essentially, the Brethren failed to figure out Briggsy's plan, so they choose to infect Tasha and try to draw her out of hiding, particularly because they also believed that Briggsy had figured out a way for her soul to be set free after she was defeated. We know this is possible through the power of the ferryman, who allowed Duke to return to the land of the living after helping defeat Captain Flameheart. Duke was a skeleton lord at the time of his death, and the ferryman forgave him. Amaranta has some musings of her own, focusing on Briggsy's mask. She deduces that Briggsy wore the mask not for intimidation, anonymity, or even to hide an ugly face. The mask looks to have other powers that we aren't initially aware of. The redstone in the mask could be the key. It's likely that the Servant of the Flame also uses these gems as a method of communicating with the Reaper's parrots. So Briggsy is probably doing something similar. Duke already knew trying to think and act like her was pointless, and his journal was written like Little Ned or Half a Stew Jean. The content of the journal is really odd, but we'll cover that shortly. Nonetheless, we managed to secure the 3 keys, the 3 chests, and subsequently the 3 artifacts, and return them to Madame Olivia. She does her Order of Souls mumbo jumbo shit, and then tells us the ritual will take time before we can unscramble Briggsy's memories. Shocker. On a second playthrough to gather this footage, it certainly has grown on me and allowed me time to digest the journals. There's a lot of lore here and teasing, which is nice. But let's get into all the good bits about this adventure. I think this is the second time I've felt this could be a tall tale instead of an adventure. The setting is very reminiscent of the Shores of Gold tall tales, all of which were about the exploits of Captain Briggsy. It's a nice throwback to the Legendary Storyteller, and I'm here for it. The puzzles had me stumped for a little while as well, at least the puzzle where you had to figure out which island Briggsy had buried the chest at. It took us ages to realise the 5 on the dice related to the layout of the islands and not the shape of the island itself. The Crooked Mast one was awesome too, where we had to figure out the oldest spot in those drawings. Of course, it was the ancient paintings. The Kraken's Fall one is okay, it's really simple if you know what the clue suggests. Going to each of the skeletons to get the clues was also very Tall Tale-esque. I'm also chuffed that Rare had made new models for each of the skeleton captains. The journals were much more useful this time around, aside from Duke's, but they do allow you to piece together the Brethren's involvement in the story. It was much less heavy-handed than the Forsaken Hunter. Overall, I'd probably put this in my top 5 adventures so far. The second playthrough really helped this one out. Now let's get into the not so cool stuff. My biggest gripe with this one can be sort of applied to all of the adventures as a whole, but it's glaring in this one. The continuity issues are right in your face with the Rogue's Legacy. The biggest one for me is Duke's journal. Duke is a well-spoken man and has been since his transformation in the run-up to a pirate's life. My friend E-Walsh pointed out the journal is written completely out of character. It's penned by someone who doesn't have a grasp of the English language and reads like a Merrick journal. But in the Sunken Kingdom, Duke admits he cleaned up his penmanship and began recording his findings in the Shrine of Flooded Embrace. Here's what the journal read. Now that I've improved my penmanship, I can start recording the discoveries I made below the waves. I've always wanted to know more about the merfolk, where they came from, why they do what they do for us pirates. I'd never thought for a single moment that I'd come across a whole species that I'd never seen nor heard of before. From what I've discovered in the Shrine of Flooded Embrace, I pray we never see their like again. It's just annoying to see these little things missed off. That's not all either. Tasha still appears at the tavern but has no new dialogue options and should be with Olivia. She does say she'll go back to the tavern at the end of the adventure, but that can easily be done in 2 weeks' time when the adventure ends. Moreover, we can see her put up the tavern decorations in the trailer, yet they're not even in the game. When adventures are meant to be the ever-evolving story, the world does not feel alive when NPCs aren't even getting their text boxes updated. I'm no dev, but this should be an easy task. Golden Sands folks don't even acknowledge the island changing, their kidnapping, or the conflict for the island. The shipwright does, but that's because of their dialogue changes for captaincy. Hell, Wanda even has her cursed sales dialogue. Seric does not acknowledge her own husband's death. We even gave her his last letter. The servant doesn't acknowledge his father's impending return, nor does anyone in the hideout, even the voice of the flame herself. It makes the adventures feel more tacked on than they should. The inhabitants of the Sea of Thieves should acknowledge these changes to their home, just like people would in real life. Another thing I wasn't a big fan of was the sailing. Overall, it's not too bad when you get to the wilds, as you kind of do a big circle, but if you want the journals, it will take a while. This has always been an issue with the story missions though, and this time it was necessary due to Madame Olivia's relationship with Tasha and Briggsy. The last thing just made me roll my eyes. Madame Olivia tells us that her ritual will take time as an excuse to make us wait for the next adventure, in 6 weeks' time apparently. Each of these threads feel really clunky when we just have to wait because magic takes time. It's fine when it happened with Lost Sands, we saw immediate effects and long-term effects, but recently it's gotten egregious. Herald of the Flame was, we have to wait to act during the Festival of the Damned because of the prophecy. Return of the Damned was, we have to wait for Flameheart to come back because, we haven't made that part yet, but he still stays in the coffin for 4 months for reasons. Now the excuse is, magic takes a while in the Sea of Thieves. Come back in 6 weeks' time because it takes a while to unscramble these memories, despite me doing it instantly for you back in Cursed Rogue. I completely get why adventures are developed how they are, but do think stuff like this is a detriment to a beautifully crafted world. Overall though, I did enjoy my time with the Rogue's Legacy, and I'm looking forward to Briggsy's eventual return in this arc. It's something I actively asked for, and the lore implications will certainly get more exciting by the end of it. In the meantime though, back to Season 8. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, and apologies for a bit of a break. I've been playing lots of Sea of Thieves. Thanks again for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.